Faculty of Education Science. Master's degree in Language Acquisition and Teaching English as a Foreign Language. 2023-2024 academic year. Methods for teaching English as a foreign language 2. Assignment 1. Summary of 2 articles, long plus short. Submitted by Garrett Blэк. Submitted to Dr. Natalia Yevninskaya. Long article, Burns, 2006, Teaching Speaking, a Text-Based Approach. Summary. A major problem addressed in Teaching Speaking, a Text-Based Curriculum Approach, in Burns, 2006, is that the example of dialogue in textbooks are nothing like the real-life dialogue that students will encounter. This is because the dialogues in textbooks are written strictly in accordance with speech norms and in order to illustrate the rules of language. At the same time, Burns does not propose to ignore the rules and teach students to speak with mistakes. Rather, she views speaking and writing as 2 different ways of speaking. She emphasizes that speaking and writing have always been very different, because in each case, different means of expression are used. Therefore, she suggests introducing more natural dialogue during oral communication in the classroom. Burns also gives specific examples of the differences between written and spoken language. Speaking involves more verbs than nouns, since nouns are understandable anyway. She also emphasizes that oral texts are organized differently than written texts because they serve a different purpose. Burns doesn't stop there. The author of the article draws a line between business speech, used to exchange goods and services, and personal conversations, in which speech is used to develop social relationships. Burns further writes that it is much more difficult to teach students natural conversation because its structure is many times more complex. In natural speech, dynamics are important. Such speech has many turns and ellipses, which Burns considers. Short article, Hussain, 2003, helping EFL, ESL students by asking quality questions. Summary. According to Hussain, all teachers should be aware of the questions they ask and the questions they want to provoke in their students, so that students can develop higher levels of thinking to evaluate information, achieve more, and show greater interest. Teachers should use 2 types of qualitative questions: questioned questions and yes-no questions. The first type of questions begins with a question word: what, when, how, why, where, and is also considered as information questions because it asks participants to give some specific information, while the second type of questions begins with the verb to be, have, or an auxiliary verb and requires a simple answer like yes or no. Examples of different type questions. VH question. What is the formula of water? Yes/no question. Will you come tomorrow? Hussain also notes that while this method is great for encouraging students' participation, it also has disadvantages. Choral responses distract students, undermine individual thinking, and interfere with the teacher's ability to monitor feedback to the class. Finally, to teach effectively, teachers need to know the questioning process so that they can guide students. In my classes, I practice a communicative approach to teaching. Most of the time, my students talk. Warm-up questions. 1. How did you spend your weekend? 2. What's new at work? 3. Where did you go on vacation? 4. What new movie have you seen? Teaching speaking. Exercise. Describe the picture. Thought-provoking questions. All pictures used in this presentation are free and don't require getting license. I thank Anna Burns for amazing research. I thank Hussain for article on questions. I thank Dr. Natalia Yevnitskaya for teaching me. I thank my husband for supporting me. Thanks for watching!